Assalamualaikum and a very good day to all. How are you? I hope you're all fine. Today, our group will present to you a very interesting topic, which is the comparison between Hinduism and Buddhism within a Malaysian context. So, we are going to go through the first one is the introduction. The second one is Hinduism. The third one is about Buddhism. The fourth one is about the comparison between these two religions. The next one is the approaches and discussion. And lastly is the conclusion. So let's go through the introduction first. As we all know, Malaysia is a multi-religious country. Islam is the official religion and has the largest population in the country. As we can see from the chart there, Buddhism consists of 18.7%. Christianity is 9.1%, Hinduism is 6.1%, and other religions or no religion consists of 2.7%. So, why do we choose this topic? The first one is because Buddhism and Hinduism are among the two largest population in Malaysia. The second one is because there are strong relationships between both these religions. And the last one is to know about other practices that can lead to harmonious country. For example, as a teacher, our students might come from different religions and background. As an individual, we also have friends, families or neighbors that come from different religions as well.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi everyone. I'm Cik Rafidah binti Cik Harun. We'll continue with Hinduism. In my part, I will discuss about introduction of Hinduism in Malaysia, root of Hinduism, Hindu belief, caste system, Hindu gods, and literature review. Hinduism in Malaysia usually practiced by Indians who comprise almost 6.37% of the Malaysian population. Data from the Department of Statistics Malaysia, about 1.8 million Indian residents in Malaysia, and most of them are Tamil descent. 7.7% Malayali, 4.7% Punjabi, 3.4% Telugu, and 1.5% others. However, about 0.14 million non-Indian Malaysians also profess to be Hindus. Most Malaysian Hindus live in the western peninsula Malaysia, such as Negeri Sembilan, Selangor, Perak, and Kuala Lumpur. Hinduism was brought to the Malaysia Peninsula from India around the 2nd century Masehi. Some of the early Indian arrivals become local residents through intermarriage. According to Hinduism, worship entities in Malaysian Hinduism are diverse. Large urban temples dedicated to specific deities and smaller temples located on estates. Estate temples follow the traditions of the Indian regions. Many people follow the Shaivite or Saivite tradition, Shiva worship in South India. However, there are also some Vaishnava Hindus in Malaysia as well, most of them from North India. Folk Hinduism in the most prevalent variety, including spirituality and the worship of village deities. Some of the common elements in the worship are sun, stone, animals, and trees. For the festivals, the major Hindu festivals celebrated every year are Diwali, as known as Festival of Lights, Thaipusam, Lord Murugan Festival, Pongal, Hammer Festival, and Durga Festival is Navaratri. And for Malaysians, Diwali and Thaipusam are public holidays in all states of Malaysia except Sarawak. Now, we are going to discuss about root of Hinduism. Firstly, about cultural practice. Prehistoric and Neolithic cultures which left material evidence including numerous rock and cave painting of cows and oxen. Secondly, about script text. Later textual sources assert that the narrative of this area engaged in the linga worships from the evidence of a star prototype of a linga. Third, philosophical movement. According to the latest theory, the Indus Valley people migrate to the Gangetic region of India. The Indus and mixed the indigenous culture. This movement brought a ritual life, including fire sacrifice over by priests and a set of hymns and poems. And the last one, about local popular beliefs, the indigenous belief of pre-Vedic communities of the Indian subcontinent encompass a variety of local practices based on agrarian, fertility, caste, and local nature spirit. According to Hindu beliefs, they believe in many gods. Most of Hinduism are worship one god known as Brahman, but recognize other gods. The deities are associated with universal and natural process. Hindu also believe in the universal law of cause and effect, as known as karma. They also believe in the possibility of liberations, called moksha. There is the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, as known as samsara. Hinduism is tied to the hierarchical structure of the caste system. Hindu adherence to Dharma, behavior consistent with one's caste and status. They strive to achieve Dharma, a way of life that emphasizes good behavior and morals. Hindu respect all living beings and consider the cow a scrap animals. The food is an important part of life. Most Hindu do not eat pork, and most of them are vegetarian. Now we are going to discuss further about moksha. Moksha is ultimate spiritual goal of Hinduism. Moksha to reach a point to free themselves from the feelings of the bind them to the world, leading to the realization of the ultimate unity of meta-soul, called Atman, connected to the universal Brahman. To reach the level through various paths, the path of knowledge, the path of appropriate action, or path of devotion to God. In caste system, there are several levels. The high level is Brahmin, consists of intellectual and spiritual leaders. Second is Kshatriyas, are protectors and civil servants of the community. Third is Vayash, consists of skilled producers, and Shudra consists of unskilled labor. However, there are some untouchable citizens who are outside the caste system and the lowest level. According to the god, Hindu gods, early 18th century depictions of Devi being reversed by Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Hindus worship many gods and goddesses beside Brahman, the supreme divine force present in all things. Some of the most famous deities include Brahma, known as the creator, Vishnu, known as preserver, Shiva, known as destroyer, Devi, goddess who fight to restore Dharma, Krishna, god of compassion, gentleness, and love, Lakshmi, goddess of wealth and purity, and Saraswati, goddess of learning. Hinduism also have holy books, the main sacred texts known as the Devas. The Devas include hymns, ritual, legends, poems, and outline the duties of the different social classes. The Devas consist of Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. However, there are some other important texts in Hinduism. There is the Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, 18 Puranas, Ramayana, and Mahabharata. Now we are discussing about literature review. According to the history, the Hindu community living on the estates often become victim of fraud with the preparation of toddy until they become drunkard laborer and didn't ask about money. In addition, they had to deal with discrimination practiced by employers in the estate by doing work such as collecting garbage, cleaning drains and toilets, reserved for the lower caste. The place of residence of the laborers is arranged according to their caste hierarchy. The lower castes were housed in houses far away from the residence of the higher caste. In November 2007, the Hindu Basic Action Teams called Hindraf protested around the Klang Valley and Kuala Lumpur has organized several series of illegal gatherings with issues related to Indians. The rally was held to support a suit filed by the Hindraf against the British government for bringing Indians to Malaysia as laborers and exploiting them for 150 years. The suit also sought a declaration that the 1957 Red Commission report fails to take into account the right of the Indian community when granting independence, resulting in their discrimination and marginalization to this day. Hindras was also involved in effort to prevent the demolitions of Hindu temples in the country and received great support from the Indian community. In my opinion, practices and culture in Hinduism in particular have experienced modernization in line with the level of education and the political government system that prioritizes racial unity in Malaysia. As teachers and parents, it is appropriate to apply the noble values among children and students that have been taught in every region in Malaysia for universal harmony. In conclusion, Hinduism also emphasizes belief in gods based on the scriptures, Vedas, believing that actions and thought determine current and future life and always striving to achieve Dharma, which is a way of life that emphasizes good behavior that aim to achieve moksha. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Rafidah. I will continue with the discussion on Buddhism. In this part, I will start with the introduction of Buddhism, its ideology and practices, also an explanation on meditation, Eightfold Path, and lastly a couple of reviews related to this topic. Buddhism is the second largest religion in Malaysia after Islam, with 19.8% of Malaysia's population being Buddhist, although some estimates put that figure at 21.6% when combining estimates of numbers of Buddhists with figures for adherents of Chinese religions which incorporate elements of Buddhism. Buddhism in Malaysia is mainly practiced by the ethnic Malaysian Chinese, but there are also Malaysian Siamese, Malaysian Sri Lankans, and Burmese in Malaysia that practice Buddhism, such as Ananda Krishnan and K. Sri Dhammananda, and a sizable population of Malaysian Indians. Buddhism is a religion that is based on the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama. The main principles of this belief system are karma, rebirth, and impermanence. Buddhists believe that life is full of suffering, but that suffering can be overcome by attaining enlightenment. Nirvana, which is a state of perfect happiness, can be obtained by breaking away from attachments and purifying the mind. However, different doctrines vary on the practices and path followed in order to do so. Buddhists believe that human life is a cycle of suffering and rebirth, but that if one achieves a state of enlightenment, it is possible to escape this cycle forever. Siddhartha Gautama was the first person to reach this state of enlightenment and was, and is still today, known as the Buddha. On how to put Buddhism into practice, Yat Bir Ching, a businessman and author of books on Buddhism, wrote, "Every Buddhist who practices Buddhism must go through 4 stages, which is believing, understanding, doing, and probing. Believing. Once a person decides to become a Buddhist, he or she must have already acquired some knowledge of Buddhism and has developed a certain amount of belief and faith in the religion. He will now be able to thoroughly study, investigate, analyze, and understand the principles of Buddhism to gain the benefits because the principles are so complex and voluminous. That is why believing is the first step in the study of Buddhism. We believe he will study Buddhism with a sincere attitude. Understanding. After one believes, he must understand the principles of Buddhism. How can Buddhism remove sufferings? What are the answers to the universe and life? How can man achieve enlightenment? It is only after one has accurately and thoroughly understood the teachings of the Buddha that one can solidify his belief and confidence in Buddhism. Doing. This is actually doing what one has learned and experienced. Some people recognize the superior knowledge contained in the Buddhist principles. However, they only recognize but do not accept or believe in the religion. Others study Buddhism as an academic subject. They understand the principles but do not follow these principles. To properly practice Buddhism, after understanding the principles, one must follow up with actual experience to practice Buddhism and according to what he has learned. One must maintain good conduct and behavior and purify the mind. This is the only way to change the delusion to wisdom and reap the full benefits of practicing Buddhism. The last stage in practicing Buddhism is probing. Whenever one deals with a matter, one must have confidence, good understanding, and carry out the task with endurance and dedication. At the end, one will be successful in realizing the benefits. Meditation serves as a significant part of practicing Buddhism. This calming and working of the mind helps Buddhists strive to become more peaceful and positive while developing wisdom through solving everyday problems. The negative mental states that are sought to be overcome are called delusions, while the positive mental states are called virtuous minds. There are many forms of meditation and many ideas about what meditation is. While different spiritual paths may associate meditation with contemplation, prayer, or other practices, Buddhist meditation is generally associated with mindfulness and awareness. Indeed, although there are a lot more forms of Buddhist meditation than you might think, they all have mindfulness as their common denominator. Buddhist meditation practices help meditators cultivate core values of awareness, tranquility, and insight. According to Buddhist philosophy, when we understand our mind and emotions better, we can work with our actions and reactions in a way that leads to well-being and happiness, our own and the well-being of those around us. And the more we appreciate the importance of others' well-being and happiness, the more we experience compassion and love. Mindfulness is the key. Another concept prominent in the Buddhist belief system is the Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is the fourth of the Four Noble Truths, which is said to be the first Buddha's teaching. It stresses areas in life that can be explored and practiced. In Buddhism, the Eightfold Path is meant as a guideline to be considered, to be contemplated, and to be taken on when and only when each step is fully accepted as part of the life you seek. Buddhism never asks for blind faith. It seeks to promote learning and a process of self-discovery. The meaning of right has several aspects and includes an ethical and a balanced or middle way. When things go right, we often experience a special feeling inside which confirms that this is the correct decision or action. Right understanding. The first step of the Eightfold Path is right understanding or right view. This is a significant step on the path as it relates to seeing the world and everything in it as it really is. not as we believe it to be or want it to be. Just as you may read the directions on a map and then make the journey, studying, reading and examining the information is important, but only the preparation for the journey. At a deeper level, direct personal experience will then lead us to right understanding. Right intent. The second step on the Eightfold Path is right intent. This is the step where we become committed to the path. Right intent must come from the heart and involves recognizing the equality of all life and compassion for all that life, beginning with yourself. Right speech is the next step of the path. We tend to underestimate the power of the spoken word and often regret words said in hate. Each of us has experienced the disappointment associated with harsh criticism, whether justified or not, and we are also unlikely to have felt good when kind words encourage us. Right speech involves recognition of the truth and also an awareness of the impact of either gossip and of repeating rumors. Communicating thoughtfully helps to unite others and can heal dissension. By resolving never to speak unkindly or in anger, a spirit of consideration evolves which moves us closer to everyday compassionate living. Right action recognizes the need to take the ethical approach in life, to consider others and the world we believe in. This includes not taking what is not given to us and having respect for the agreements we make both in our private and business lives. The next on the Eightfold Path follows on from right action is right livelihood. And this right livelihood, if you work as a lack of respect for life, then it will be a barrier to progress on the spiritual path. Buddhism promotes the principles of equality of all living beings and respect for all life. Right effort means cultivating an attitude, a positive attitude in a balanced way. Like the strings of a musical instrument, the amount of effort should not be too tense or too impatient, as well as not too slack or too laid back. Right effort should produce an attitude of steady and cheerful determination. Right mindfulness is somewhat trickier to grasp and may involve quite a change of thinking. Right mindfulness means being aware of the moment and being forced in that moment. Right concentration is turning the mind to focus on an object such as a flower or a lit candle or a concept such as loving compassion. This forms the next part of the meditation process. Right concentration implies that we select worthy directions for the concentration of mind. Although everything in nature, beautiful and ugly, may be useful for concentration. At deeper levels, no object or concept may be necessary for further development. Meditation is one of the practices in Buddhism that is oriented based on the reason to form, control and train the mind to face, accept and manage things or problems in our life so that we can remain calm and patient. In Kelantan, the Siamese, which is the minority ethnic who believe in Theravada Buddhism, practice the meditation. This is proof in a research stated that the Buddha's meditation practiced by Theravada Buddhists in Kelantan was aimed at understanding the essence, guidance, and restrictions contained in the elements of Sila, Paliboda, Nibbana, Four Noble Truths, Eight Truths Path, Parita and Namaskara readings aim at achieving success, happiness, and freedom in the element Arahat, Nirvana, and Panya. In a study aims to analyze the influence of Vajrayana Buddhism on the social economics of the Chinese community in Malaysia, the results found that the Vajrayana Buddhist movement, although relatively new compared to the other two Buddhist movements, has exerted a great influence on the Chinese community in terms of working hard to improve their economic status. At the same time, he managed to cultivate a strong spirit of cooperation among them. Thank you.
So, let's go to the comparison between these two religions. There are similarities as well as differences of Hinduism and Buddhism. Okay, we will go through to the similarities first. Okay, we can see from the table here, The first one. Okay, these two religions are originated in India. There are two world's main religion which is come from India. Number two, historically they came to Malaysia 2 millennials ago by traders, long time ago, and then the current ones brought by the Chinese or Sri Lankan or Indian immigrants during British colonial in 19th or 20th century. So, number four, they believe in karma or cause and effects, or samsara, the cycle of the rebirth, incarnation, the rebirth, and dharma, the moral order. And number five, they emphasize both of them on the asceticism and monasticism, or the life of the monks. Number six, both cosmologies are cyclical. It means that universe goes through constant cycle of growth and destruction. They also believe in the universe of hell, human world, and then they share some of same deities such as Ganesh or Ganapati in Buddhism. It means that they believe in the same god or goddess. And number eight is spiritual liberation. Okay, they believe that if the complete end of rebirth is to reach nirvana or moksha. Okay, the next one is number nine. They have similar practices in ethical systems such as non-harming. Okay, both of them have few teachings of ethical system. And then number 10, they have the same practice of yogic practice, dhyana, samadhi, meditative practices in these two religions. And both tradition uses devotional practice of bhakti towards Buddha or Deva. And then they have similar mantra or ritual, for example, Ghost Festival. Okay, one of the examples. Now let's go to the differences of Hinduism and Buddhism. The first one, there is no single founder of Hinduism, but Buddhism was founded by Gautama Buddha. The second one is Hinduism recognizes many gods, but Buddhism believes the existence of one God, but they don't mind or don't focus on it. Number 3, Hinduism focuses on religious ritual, duties, morality such as dharma, but Buddhism focuses on more to ethical behaviors based on the Eightfold Path. Number 4, Hinduism has 4 largest domination, which are Shakticism, Shaivism, Vaishnavism and Smartism. In Malaysia, Malaysian Hindu population follow the Shaiviti tradition. And Buddhism, there are 2 major branches of Buddhism, which are Hinayana or Theravada and Mahayana. In Malaysia, the followers mostly Mahayana Buddhism are Malaysian Chinese, while most followers of Theravada Buddhism are Malaysian Indian or Thai or Sri Lankan ancestry. Okay, let's go to the next one. In Hinduism, temples for certain gods and Buddha was incarnation of Vishnu, and Buddhism has temple only for Buddha. Okay, Hinduism has got many scriptures, Veda, Upanishad, Puranas and Gita, and they have Smriti and Shruti oral scriptures. And for Buddhism, they only have Tripitaka. Tripitaka is a vast canon composed of 3 sections, which are discourses, discipline, and commentaries, and some early scriptures, which is the Gandhara text. Okay, the next one is Hinduism celebrate Diwali, Holi, Onam, Maha, Shivaratra, Thaipusam, Ganesh, Chaturthi, and many other celebrations. While Buddhism celebrate Vesak Day or Buddha birth, Nirvana Day, Magha Puja, Dharma, and few other celebrations. Hinduism traditionally divides system with a caste system. Buddhism recognizes that all humans are equal. Okay, next. Hinduism believes that sins committed deliberately will have to be repaid through karmic consequences. Means those who are sinful will rebirth, okay, and have the recycle and also have the karma punishment. For Buddhism does not have the concept of sin. Hinduism, the goal is freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth and ultimately attain moksha or liberation from birth and rebirth, while Buddhism, the goal of Buddhism is to bring lasting, unconditional happiness. And Hindus have varying purposes for meditation, including physical, mental, and spiritual enhancement, while Buddhists see meditation as the means of self-edification and attaining nirvana. And lastly, in Hinduism, reaching an ineffable state of nothingness accompanied by a loss of sense of self and duality or samadhi is the main focus of Hinduism-inspired meditation. And in Buddhism, the mindfulness is the focus of Buddhist meditation, reached by focusing sustained attention on the body, on breathing, and on the content of thoughts.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mahani binti Muhammad. So today I'm going to share with you the spiritual coping and healing which has been proposed by the Buddhism and Hinduism. So first of all, we have to understand what is the meaning of spiritual coping and healing and why human beings need the coping and healing strategy. Spiritual coping is a form of emotion-based coping which used to retain our emotional equilibrium and our emotional stability. The individual may refer to sources of coping such as spirituality to develop a sense of positivity and resilience against the stressor or any obstacle in our life. Now we are going to understand what is stress and grief in human. Every human being experiences stress from time to time. Stress could be resulted from any changes or challenge or any obstacle in our current, past situation which lead to any chain of emotional, physical, and any intellectual response. However, the prolonged stress could lead to anxiety and depression. Besides stress, the major grief which result from the huge disappointment or losses of someone which is close to us, which allow the feeling of intense sadness, anger, and the feeling of denial. Alright, now we're going to look at the reason for every human being to have suffered from stress, anxiety, depression, and major grief. The first reason could be the losses of someone which is very close to us, such as the family, relative, and friends, and the spouses. The second reason could be the suffering from the serious illness such as cancer. The third reason could be suffering or experience any divorce or any difficult relationship. The fourth reason could be the prolonged poverty, and the fifth could be the financial stressor, and the sixth reason could be any traumatic experience or stressor in our life. Alright, now we are going to look the reason or the consequence of the prolonged stress, anxiety, and grief in the human being. Prolonged stress and anxiety will create a serious mental illness. Did you know that in 2022, it is reported that every 1 in 8 people in the world has suffered from mental illness? What is mental illness? Mental illness include anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia, disruptive behavior and dissocial disorder, and eating disorder. What is eating disorder? Eating disorder can be seen in those individuals who have suffered from anorexia nervosa and bulimia, for example. Move on. Now we are going to learn what is actually the coping and healing strategy which is proposed by the Buddhism. Can really the faith and spiritual in Buddhism promote healing and post-traumatic growth in its believer? There are a few approaches in Buddhism which used to help the human being recover from trauma and be more resilient. Buddhism teaching always recommend the way to lessen of become free from suffering to the human being. There are two major concepts which is very famous, which is well known in the Buddhism. They are Dukkhan and Manga. What is Dukkhan and what is Manga? Dukkhan is basically the belief to lessen the suffering, while the Manga is the belief to free from suffering. Merging between these two concepts produce another belief which is known as Noble Eightfold Path. What is Noble Eightfold Path? In the Noble Eightfold Path, it highlights three dimensions, which is the wisdom, ethics, and meditation. Now we are going to look at in the first dimension, which is wisdom. In this dimension, it emphasizes two essential elements, which is the right view and the right attention. Every human being are encouraged to have the right way to think about their life and see the world through the lenses of wisdom and compassion under the right view. Whereas for the right attention, every human being are encouraged to have the clear and kind thought while building a good and strong character. Besides, they are encouraged to pay attention to their health and improve their self-care skill and always seek information and true knowledge. The second dimension is the ethics. In this second dimension, we have three essential elements, which is the right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Under the right speech, every human being are encouraged to avoid spreading or listen to any false knowledge that could hurt other people. Whereas for the right attention, every human being are required to modify their lifestyle, behave properly, and never act inappropriately to other people. And the last one, for the right livelihood, every human being are encouraged to avoid any unhealthy habits, never seek happiness by making other people's life miserable and become unhappy. And the last dimension, which is meditation. In this dimension, we have three essential elements. In Buddhism, these three essential elements is known as right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. For the first essential element, which is the right effort, every human being are required to nurture good habit and always take control of their mind and doing their best in everything that they have to execute. Whereas for the right mindfulness, the human being should be aware of their thought, words, action, and always alert to their environment. The last one is the right attention. In this particular essential elements, the human being are encouraged to focus on one thought and action at a particular time and always meditate to control the stress level and maintain our emotional stability. Alright, in 2019, there is a study conducted by Sujira on a group of Thai Buddhist widows who have suffered from sudden loss of their spouse. In this group of Thai Buddhist widows, Sujira found that they have suffered from major anxiety, grief, numbness, and denial. This is because the widow are very concerned about their husband afterlife, happiness, and whether they are living in a good place or not. Alright, coping and healing strategy by the Thai widows after the sudden loss of their spouse. In order to cope their feeling of anxiety, depression, and sadness, the Thai Buddhist widow always practice praying, meditation, offering money to the monk, and donate money to the needy. In the same time, this group of people always join the religious gathering just to have to give some happiness in their life. Besides that, this group of people also venting their feeling to the family, close friend, and whom they trust very much. The third one, this group of Thai widows always culture the positive mindset in their life and always believe that there are always silver lining in their next chapter of life. The fourth one, this group of Thai widows have learned to promote the sign of forgiveness to those people around them who have mistaken them and always forgive themselves for anything for any wrongdoing they have committed in the past. And the last one, these Thai widows have deeper understanding about the death is the natural law of life. They always learn to educate themselves to understand that that is actually the natural law of the life and never blame themselves for the losses of their spouse. Alright, moving from Buddhism, now we are moving to Hinduism. So, coping and healing strategy in Hinduism. How does the spiritual of Hindus facilitate them to cope with their stressful life and heal their grief? The main thing for Hindus is actually they really believe in karma. What is karma? Okay. Basically, mental and physical suffering is believed to be the consequence of their past inappropriate action in the past, and this is known as karma. However, the suffering shouldn't be considered as punishment, but as the natural law of the universe in response to their previous negative behavior. However, in the same time, the Hindus always practice the acceptance concept that every suffering is random and not biased to any human being and should be considered as a part of the living process. Lessen the suffering. Having the practice the rule of acceptance really lessen the suffering in the human being. However, acceptance can be misunderstood as passivity. Hinduism encourages its believer to focus on giving the appropriate action rather than outcomes of the action, and never choose to do not take any action or inaction. Alright, in Hinduism, there are few tools that's been proposed to control someone's mind, which is meditation and yoga. What is meditation and what is yoga? Meditation and yoga allow the human being to detach from one's pain and circumstance and only devote their life to God instead. Now, what is yoga? Yoga is basically a type of ancient practice which allows the body to move into various positions. What is the benefit of yoga? Yoga allows someone to become more flexible, become more fit, improve their breathing, and relax their mind from thinking about someone's pain or their own pains. Yoga have many type hand position and has been practiced as part of daily exercise nowadays. Beside meditation, beside yoga, Hinduism also proposed the method of Ayurveda approach. What is Ayurveda approach? In the Ayurveda approach, it is a traditional Hindu medicine in order to balance the body system. This type of medicine include the usage of herbal treatment, diet and yogic breathing. Instead of improving the physical health, Ayurveda also boosts the mental activity and promotes emotional equilibrium or emotional stability. What is the benefit of Ayurveda? Ayurveda could remove the foggy mind, lethargy, exhausted and feeling unsupported in the human being. Ayurveda always consider that depression is the kapha imbalance, which finally could lead the human being to feel the heaviness, sadness and stagnation. Alright, there are few ways that being proposed by the Ayurveda to deal with stress and depression. They are daily yoga, which is 15 to 30 minutes per day, connect with nature by touching the trees and sitting on the ground and gardening, daily self-massage by using warming oil in order to enhance the blood circulation, and also having a good diet by consuming herbs, probiotic, organic food and traditional supplement. Beside that, daily outdoor exercise like 30 minutes per day, also, which have the moderate intensity, also being proposed by the this type of approach. And beside that, connect with nature by walking by the ocean, lake or stream for 30 to 60 minutes per day. The human being also encouraged to have meditation, for example, under the tree for the 20 minutes and having a restful sleep or early bedtime, and by consuming herb before goes to bed. Right, the conclusion is Buddhism and Hinduism always propose the method to ensure the well-being of its believer or any human being, including the physical, emotional and mental well-being. Every human being, whenever being tested by any type of stressor in their life, whether it is huge or small, we should never cut our ties to the God of it. Embracing different parts of it should never divide the human being. Instead, we should stay united and keep benefiting each other. Alright, there is a famous quote in the Buddhism teaching, which is no matter how hard the past, we can always begin again, which means that no matter how bad is your life in the past, you always have the time to rectify it. You always have the time to correct it and to have the better life in the future.
And these are the references. Thank you.